Attention wrestling fans, you're in the blast zone for the only podcast where we blow kayfabe wide open and let you know what it really takes to become a professional wrestler. Presented by America's Academy of Professional Wrestling, this is the Buckle Bomb, and you're about to get blown up.
Welcome back to the Buckle Bomb Wrestling fans. I am your host, Buck Bomber. I am back in the blast zone with the champion of Buckle Bomb at this point, Michael Arrow.
I am the Buckle Bomb champion, the Buckle Bomb vet. Come take it from me.
And joined again by the Wolf NDA.
Hello, Buckle Bomber, the Wolf NDA. Ow! You know what it is.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So how's wrestling been?
You go ahead, Wolf. How's your wrestling been?
That's how I start every podcast. I always just go, how's wrestling?
Wolf?
No, wrestling is perfect. Wrestling is it's a part of my life. Wrestling for me, and I say it, he's my first baby. Yeah, and I love it. I hope you love it too, man.
It's funny that you say it's your baby because I always thought of it as a girl. It's my wife.
Oh, you guys are family now.
Yeah. I want to say I'm impressed with Wolf. He hasn't been here too long, and he's not just made a name here at AAPW, but I see him going around Texas working with good promotions, even places I want to go to. So good on you, Wolf. How do you like Texas? What are your first impressions here? How do you like it over here?
Yeah, I like Texas too much because my first impression here when I get in U.S. was in Pattonville because I've been talking with some people over there. And when I got here, they called me and said, Wolf, we have a big show here and wanted to be here. And can you be there? It was my first time to be there and to drive some 5 hour, man.
Yeah.
Person to drive 5 hours.
That's
very
Texas.
long for me. So I didn't know that. I just take my car and say, all right, let's go and fit. And it was a very good impression for me. And the way people, they welcome me over there. So I like it too much. That's why, and I keep just going on the route to Texas. So I want to just get Texas in the palm of my hand.
Nice. Very nice. So, do you know what you two have in common?
No.
Can
Well, I know, but you don't. You don't know that we're both musicians. We found that out.
No, that's exactly why. That's exactly why I picked you guys.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about music in professional wrestling, because music has always been a big part of professional wrestling since.
Actually, did you know music in professional wrestling is actually relatively new? It didn't come in until the 70s, 80s era.
I mean, but that's 50 years, so I can still say
True,
that.
but wrestling has been around for 300 years as we know it. It maybe two and some change.
That seemed like 120, but okay.
Excuse me. Well, maybe 120 of maybe that might be more realistic. I don't know. Maybe I want to say 200, but
Okay, for all of our lifetimes,
Okay.
music has been a big part of professional wrestling.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
I mean, have you ever walked out to no music?
Honestly, when I was getting back into wrestling, I was watching NXT. It was oh no, I forgot his name. The guy who turned on Johnny Gargano. I watched him come out to no music, and he had so much heat that it was just the crowd just booing at him at an intense level. That was cool. I wasn't there. It was cool just to watch on TV, but that's just the rare exception to your point.
Okay. Have you yourself ever walked out to no music though?
Not on purpose.
I can tell you it's not a good time. What about you, Wolf?
Yeah, and I was there, and even yesterday I was just watching Chris Jericho doing music, but I didn't know there was a musician too. And I saw the crowd was so excited when it was and the sound and the singing. So, and I do the same thing, also wrestlers doing music too. I don't know, Atros too, something like that, doing music. So.
Do you know are you familiar with AEW? You know the Butcher from the Butcher and the Blade?
No,
He's a tag team. He is actually in, of course, the band name is going to escape me, Every Time I Die, which is an old school hardcore band. And it's cool that I actually I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. But I was watching him right before AEW started because he was doing GCW stuff, and then he got picked up, and I was really hyped that he's doing both.
Mm-hmm.
Like Elias Studio. Elias Studio in both.
Speaking of, don't you drum in what's his name, Mega Wolf's band?
To name drop, Mega Wolf. Yeah, Mecha Wolf is the
Mecha
guy.
Wolf.
Mecha Wolf is the guy. Monster Wolf is the band. Cool dude. I got shout out to Dylan Dunbar because he like threw my name in on his post on Facebook. And because you know how WrestleMania was in Dallas this year, and he was putting on a show, and his drummer couldn't make it, so he was looking for a fill-in, and posted on Facebook looking for a drummer, and Dunbar threw my name in and said, "Hey, this guy's a wrestler and a drummer." So I got to be in the Battle Royale, and I got to wrestle Insane a little bit over there. It was cool that we ran into each other there. And then I played drums for him, and we've done a few more gigs. We did a gig just a few weeks ago. I think it was around Halloween weekend. Played in Dallas with him. And then I'm starting to... It's funny because I was playing music out of high school, and then I started wrestling. I was playing gigs for like 7 years. Started wrestling, thought I was done with music. I kind of fell out of love with it for a while. I kind of lost a desire for it. And then now it kind of got reignited, and now I kind of want to start a new band maybe. But definitely wrestling is also a high point, so we'll see where it goes. How have you been able, Wolf, to balance music and wrestling? Is it hard? Is it easy?
Oh, for sure it's not easy, but I've been doing it for a long time ago. So I started with wrestling when I was a little kid, and music too. So I started with music before wrestling. So
okay.
Yeah. Before in my group, I have a group of reggae before, because my first new branch was a reggae music. So I've been doing reggae music for a long time ago. I have a band, and we just been separate. So some of my people there just went to Paris, and some in England, something like that. And I've been in Cameroon for some little times again. And after I joined here, so back right now I'm trying to fix up another band again. So very, very soon you're going to feel and listen to some good reggae music vibration again. But I got many things in my stomach and doing, so you're gonna feel many things like hip hop and reggae, mix everything together. Anyway, that's my life, So doing wrestling, doing music, and movie too. So I've been doing movie also, yeah.
Nice. So when did you make your own theme song? Like when did that happen?
My song?
Yeah, when did you make it?
Yeah, I write my song by myself. So I went to the studio with the engineer. So just trying to let him know how I want my beat to be, because the first thing you got to start and writing and thinking how your beat going to be, because the engineer doesn't know what you got in your brain. So you get in the studio and you work with the engineer. So ask him, so I want the string to be like this. I want the bass to be playing like this. So you just try to lead him and show him the way. And after the rest, you're going to do it. So, and after that, you're just trying to figure out how to record the song. But you first of all, write your song at home. That's how I do it every time.
May I ask you something? What's your writing process? Do you write your songs by yourself? Is it really you and you just grab people to play for you?
Yeah, I write the song by myself.
Yeah.
And I just heard, the engineer just heard me for the beat, because I don't know how to, to create the beat. So
it's different because I played in bands for a lot of time. It's a very different style of music. I grew up playing a lot of hard rock, punk, and metal and stuff, pop punk, whatever. But we would always, write it together. It would always also kind of be maybe one dude who writes the song, and I'm like, all right, I write my parts. I play drums. I'm going to play the drums the way I want to play it, as long as it fits. So it's interesting to me to see how, because everyone, there's no one way to write music. It's interesting to me to understand how other people put music together, because everyone can start it differently.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different with me, because I've been singing it all along. So I'm doing my song first. So the musician, for me, sometimes they only make the music, they only play, and I'm the only one singing in the group. So this is how I've been doing for long. That's why it's easy for me to write a song and get in the studio and start working with the engineer. So I just try to lead him how to make my beat. And after he's doing this, so we get in the studio and I record. So I make everything by myself, make the chorus and write a part of the song by myself. So
nice.
That's how I've been doing for long.
That's awesome.
So it's a long work, man. I ain't not keeping doing it, man. Since I'm here in Texas, I'm trying to see how things working. So I'm trying to make a song that can be, how can I say, figure out how to work with the same spirit. So it's different by where I'm coming from. So the history is different. So I'm trying to write a song that is story can be a little bit close with those of the US now.
Right, you're bringing yourself to where you are now.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
Because the vibration is different,
Right.
Yeah, the vibration is different.
But the recipe's the same.
Yeah, the recipe is the same.
So, Michael, how come you haven't made your own theme song yet?
Actually, you didn't know it, but that Verbloom song, that's my theme song, I play drums on. That's me recording. That is my song, kind of.
Oh.
I
Well,
mean,
okay.
I'm not with them anymore, but I still use it. I'm in the video. Those are my bobas. Shout out to Rare Bloom.
I've been watching one of your songs, I think it was in YouTube, something like that.
Yeah.
I was checking it out, watching. Say,
Yeah,
oh,
me and when Wolf first came in, we were chatting up a little bit, and he messaged me on Facebook. He's like, "Hey, you're a musician. I'm a musician,"
Yeah,
and we were
I
talking
know.
for a while. It was really cool. It's a small world, you know. It doesn't matter where you're from. You find the same interests. It's the same.
Music, you know,
Music and wrestling.
music and wrestling. For me, music is a little bit like how can I say it? Like a sea, man. Everybody can find the seven seas. So we all swimming like in the pool. You get in the pool and you meet friends and people. Sometimes you meet people you never seen before, and you start friendship over there.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
It's things like
Yeah.
music and pro wrestling that like unite us
Yeah,
as
for
people,
sure.
you know? Definitely. Do you guys have a favorite wrestling theme?
You know, I am the rare person. I don't know if many other people. I'm sure other people do this, but sometimes I'll just jam out to wrestling themes in my car.
Oh,
And-
dude, everybody does that.
And it's hard to pick a favorite, but I love. Okay, for everything, Steve Austin and The Rock are just the theme songs. Like the Rock had some bad theme songs later on, but like the '01 theme song was great. Same with Steve Austin. I also love Kane's first theme song with the organ, and then it kicks in. Too cool, man. That theme just gets me hype. I just want to start dancing.
Yeah, no, like there's a lot of good music that's been specifically made to be a wrestling entrance theme, like Wabadoo! Whatever he's saying. Man, Don't Act Like Time Is Now is not a banger.
Hey, did you know that Terry Funk has an album?
Does it? Did you know Macho Man has an album?
Yes, he has a diss track against Hulk Hogan,
He
and
does.
it's awesome.
Uh,
We're back to wrestlers doing music. Who else? Who did Jimmy Hart not do music for? Never mind.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How about Shinsuke Nakamura's theme?
Yeah.
It's
It's okay.
one of the best songs I've ever heard.
It's cool when everyone sings along.
What's up?
It's good for him. So I think for me, everybody guys create his own style to get in the ring. So that's why I see I get in the ring with my own song. Before I've been getting in the ring with DMX song because I've been loving him too much, loving his music. So,
Oh, which DMX song?
Oh.
Sometimes there's one more have to cross, one more shoot or something like that. And finally I say I'm a musician. Why not create my own songs and get in the ring with it? That's what we see right now. So
There you go.
my own song, some pen of a pa. That's what you see.
Your song is good too. It's so catchy. Everyone
Yeah.
sings.
Yeah,
along.
I was like, this is pretty good. I remember I was like, who made that song? And you were like, it's me. And I was like, okay. It was pretty wild. What if there was no music in wrestling?
There was a time where that was a thing, like I previously stated.
Okay, what if that was still a thing?
Then if it never existed, then I don't think it would make a difference. You want to know what you're missing. But if it just magically poofed one day, everyone would be butthurt, even though you don't really need it. So growing up, I was a big skateboard kid, and one way that skateboard companies make money is they hire a bunch of skateboarders and say, "Okay, boys, put some clips together and we'll put a movie out." So they film themselves skateboarding and put music over it, right? So eventually everyone got rebellious to where, oh, we don't need music. It's just skateboarding. So do you really need music? Like I said, I don't know. I guess I didn't put a bow on my statement, but if you just took it out, I don't think it would really affect it, even though people think it would. And sure, you lose an aspect of the pop. You lose the excitement before you walk out. But I think if you're over enough, you just walking out should be enough.
I don't know. I think it really would lose something. Like imagine if we never had that bell going on before Undertaker came out.
Right, but imagine just a dead silence and all of a sudden you see a spotlight and the Undertaker walks out, right? Like, yeah, but I'm saying you can still find ways to make up for it with effects if you still include effects.
Okay, no spotlights either.
And no fog.
No fog. No fog. No spotlights.
No gimmick. That's all the gimmicks.
Yeah, no. Let's strip down pro wrestling.
Then it's not the Undertaker. Then it's Mark Calloway, and it's a UFC fight. Even though UFC fighters have music.
Gee, maybe there's something to that.
It's because UFC copies pro wrestling, and that's what has made them successful. Honestly, well, I think that's how they. I mean, it may or may not be rigged. I don't know. A lot of old school wrestlers like claim that, which is what it is. It's kind of funny, but I'm sorry. What was I saying?
You were saying everything's copying pro wrestling.
Oh
now.
yeah, the way they would build a fight, the way they cut promos, and Conor McGregor, all these people that have big characters now, they're a lot more like spoken out than Dan Severn, than Ken than even though it's funny that they're both wrestlers, than your older UFC fighters. I think they have adopted the showmanship of it a little bit.
Well, I think it's that they've adopted that people are more invested if there's a story to it.
That's what I'm saying for sure. That's what I mean by the pro wrestling. It's more than just a fight.
Like they've done it. They've done it for like sports too now. Like from the small amount of sports I watch, I've heard commentary now where they like give like some backstory and context on like all the players.
The World Cup is about to happen. No one cares, but yeah, that's what it is. It's about to start. All the storylines are about to start. Excuse me. Who's going to get knocked out? Who's going to make it all the way? The Cinderella story. All that stuff about sports is what makes it great. You're right. It's the storyline aspect. Especially I like British soccer, the Premier League soccer, because it's intertwined with European League. I can't believe I'm forgetting what it's called. But they have different leagues that one club competes in, so you have so many different things going on. Then you throw in the World Cup and all these like scheduled. Their soccer players' schedules are insane because they have to play all these crazy games. I'm sorry, I'm going off on this tangent.
No. Go ahead. That's what happens on the Buckle Bomb.
You're not a soccer fan, are you? Well, or football? Yeah.
That's true that I'm not so much fan of soccer football.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. But
I'm sorry, I'm making assumptions here.
Are you a sports fan at all?
Yeah, but yeah, I've been playing soccer too when I was a little boy. But after that, I think I wasn't a good player. That's why. I was playing because my junior brother was playing too, and some of my other brother was playing soccer too. That's why I was following them just to go and play with them. But finally, I didn't like it.
Really.
When I was a little boy, I always like sports like boxing, wrestling. But finally, wrestling bit of my spirit. That's why I was following. But I know some soccer.
Yeah,
just a little bit. And
I like to watch most sports. My brother's a professional rugby player. I like bragging about him. He plays in Atlanta. I played lacrosse in high school. I wish that sport was. Why are you laughing?
I play rugby too, but maybe 2 years.
Yeah, rugby's rough, dude.
Yeah,
it's rough. Why are you laughing at lacrosse? What's up?
Because I know what you were going to say next. You were going to say, I wish anybody cared about lacrosse.
I wish, man. It's a great sport. People need to give it a chance. It's fun.
That's the one with the. It's kind of like field hockey, ain't it?
Yeah, kind of.
You got them little.
You have a stick.
You got them spoons.
So it comes from Native Americans. They would make a big stick with a net on top, and they would play with like a rock. And now you have a rubber ball, the plastic stick, and the yarn that is your net up top.
Yeah, kind of spoon type thing.
Right. You can shoot the ball with it. The ball falls on the ground. You can scoop it up. You can hit each other with the stick as long as they have the ball and you don't hit them in the head.
Wait, what is the name of this sport?
Lacrosse.
Oh.
I'll show you a video of it later, man. It's cool. It's one of my. I don't really watch it. College lacrosse is
maybe like hockey.
Hockey's similar. It's played in the field. I would say it's like hockey combined with soccer, and like the way you play it is more like basketball in the sense that you're like. I'm forgetting all of my lingo right now.
Does lacrosse have a hoop or a goal?
It's a goal and a goalie, and there's an area behind the goal too. You can run around. So in that aspect, it's like hockey. And and you have sticks that you hit each other with. You throw the ball around, you can hit each other with the stick, try to shoot the ball in the net. The Pro League, they decided to make it more interesting. So there's like a 20-foot circle around the goal, and if you shoot it from beyond there, it's worth 2 points because they just wanted people to try to shoot it more, even though no one does it. But college lacrosse is what everyone really follows. It gets gnarly. Sometimes they body check each other. Like I said, they'll hit each other with the stick in a bunch of kind of brutal ways. My coach would kind of teach me some dirty stuff, and I'm like, dude, you can't teach me how to break someone's leg.
Oh man,
I'm not gonna use that. But it's wild, man. It's a crazy sport. It's a lot of fun. You work with you learn how to work with your unit, your team. There's a lot of communication. I play defense. You have to communicate where the ball is, where you are, what's going on. So you got to be ready. If they try to make a run in the goal, sometimes you got to step in and hit them.
I think if I got to be careful, that means the root of that sport's coming from the hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I like hockey too.
Man, I love watching hockey.
They got contact every time, so in the corner
they start fighting.
So I always like to see.
Yeah, no.
Just push the ball like that, and you know the guy just come to get contact every time. So
dude, hockey's wild, man.
I hockey too.
I can barely skate on ice. I don't know how you skate backwards and navigate in the puck and shoot it 20 feet.
No, I never tried.
There's another version of lacrosse called box lacrosse, which is actually played inside a hockey rink. They melt the ice down, so you're just running around. But it's a lot more violent because it's in a hockey ring and it's only 6 guys and it's a lot more compact. And they'll actually fight like hockey players and stuff. It's cool. You see a lot of like bench clearing fights. It's cool.
Man, but speaking of sports, do you ever know sports always had music in it too?
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah. Bam, bam.
Wolf doesn't know.
Well, I was thinking more
We're
like
talking about American football.
I was thinking more like, you know, them baseball stadium keyboards going da-na-na-na.
Yeah. Like every sport does that. Hockey does that too.
Like I remember for my theme song, I was like, yo, can you make it sound like baseball stadium keys? And that's why it sounds that way.
Nice.
Everyone's always like, why do the keys sound like that? I'm like, because I wanted it like that.
Yo, think about it. That's a job lost. There used to be someone playing the organ at a game, and now it's just a recording on a phone.
Man.
Is that weird to think about?
Man, technology taking over. Like, man, what do people get hyped up about around the Super Bowl?
Hey, man.
The halftime show.
I enjoy the Super Bowl. I also used to just watch it for the halftime show when I
Exactly,
didn't care
see?
about football. Yeah.
See, man, it all comes around, you know?
I was really mad when they didn't have Metallica one year because it was rumored and they were like, nah, no Metallica. I'm like, I hate you all.
What is the Super Bowl? You know, this is a main. I just covered it. This is a main sport right here in the US that's a little bit different as we do. Like, for example, soccer. In the French side, we call it football. And when I was saying every time football, people were just thinking that I was talking about
American football.
Yeah. So I said football. They say, no, it's soccer. I said, oh, come on, you call that soccer? And you call it American football. I said,
it's like the metric system.
oh, there's a penalty, so it's sweating here.
Like, the thing about football is
Yeah.
American football, they're using their hands way more.
American football is like really.
You know what's funny is they call it a touchdown like rugby, but they don't touch the ball down. And rugby, you have to touch the ball down in the end zone. And if you don't do it, you don't get a point. If you run out the end zone and don't touch the ball on the ground, it doesn't count. You have to physically touch the ball down. Touch it. In football, it's funny. We were watching the game and the guy caught it and his feet did not even touch the ground. He jumped off before he entered the end zone, caught it, and just flew in and went outside. And even like my dad was like, that's weird how that counts.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's different because you can't keep the ball just in front like this, like in football.
In American football, you actually can.
Yeah, in American football,
you can. The rule is
the rule you got to give it the backside to the guy just behind you.
Right.
In rugby, so you give the ball like this. If you give it like this in front side,
right. In American football, it's less common, but it is a rule that you can pitch it behind you. You can throw a forward pass in football. So there's something called the line of scrimmage. So in American football, the play stops, right? After every play, it stops, and the ball is dead where on the line of scrimmage. So if the quarterback hikes the ball, he can throw it forward once as long as he does not cross the line of scrimmage.
Got you.
Once he throws it once, even if say he throws it once to someone and they catch it behind the line of scrimmage, they cannot throw it forward again. But you can throw it behind you all you want. So you'll see some wild football plays where it's like last play of the game, no time left on the clock. You got to get this in or go home and lose, where they just pitch it like crazy. So those plays are fun to watch. But it's not common at all. Instead of rugby, to where that is like the main source of the game, where you got to pitch it.
Gotta pitch, yeah.
So how about when other sports athletes become professional wrestlers?
Dennis Rodman, Lawrence Taylor. I'm trying to think who else. You know, it's funny because there are actually some people that you might not know that were football players, like Bill Goldberg, who played for the Atlanta Falcons. My bad.
Goldberg playing in football?
Bill Goldberg from WCW.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to play for the Atlanta Falcons, the American football team.
Yeah, I think The Rock too.
The Rock. Oh yeah. He played in college and he played professional in Canada, I think. And do you know who Ernie Ladd is? This is old school. He's from the 70s and 80s. He played professional football, and it's funny because back then professional football wasn't making the money it is today. So professional wrestlers were making way more money back then. So he stopped playing football and just started. I'm sorry, I keep hitting it too. Yeah, and he started wrestling full time. And I'm trying to think of other. There's a lot of other wrestlers.
You guys are forgetting about Brennan Williams.
Who?
Mace.
Who?
Mace.
Mondo McMichael.
No. Brennan Williams.
I just threw a name out of nowhere.
He's part of them. He's part of that model group in WWE now. No, you guys don't. Okay.
I don't watch the product.
Okay. he was trained by Booker T.
Oh, cool.
Ah, man.
Pat
A
McAfee.
long time ago, yeah.
Man, nobody knows who Brendan Williams is when I bring him up. He's signed to the WWE. He's been there for years.
I popped really hard one time, maybe like 10 years ago now, for a random NXT. I don't even remember who the wrestler was, but he got in a confrontation with Wayne Rooney because they're in England and he was playing for Manchester United at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just nerding out for it. I was like, this is really weird.
That is really weird. It's also weird how nobody knows who Brendan Williams is when I bring him up. I'm like, Brendan Williams? Because, like, I don't know him, but, like, we have a lot of mutual friends. But every time I bring him up, he's been with the WWE for like forever, and everybody doesn't know him.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
He's Mace. He was the Shogun before that.
He was tag team with Booker T.
Was that?
Tag team with Booker T.
Yeah, he was trained by Booker.
Yeah, he was trained by Booker T.
He didn't team, he was trained by.
And before that, he was in the NFL. They're really starting to push him in WWE now.
What do I watch? When I watch wrestling right now, old ECW is kind of always a go-to. Watch old WCW. So if you want to talk about that, just kidding.
And now I think we got Elias too, who is doing the same, like music and wrestling, professional wrestling. Elias, I think he's a musician.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Elias.
Yeah, Elias. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ezekiel and his brother. I know that
Hey,
one.
what about MVP?
Oh man.
Oh, dude, Return of the Ronin.
I remember I was checking somewhere in Galway and I saw like MVP. Hey, he got a show right here in Austin. Something.
Dude,
We tried to go.
we were gonna go to that. But then it got canceled because one of the guys he was touring with, Megaran, who is a friend of mine, his kid got sick with COVID, so they had to cancel that. They say they're gonna come back at some point, so I'm waiting on that.
I'll go.
Now, speaking of the topic of music and professional wrestling, and now that I'm just bringing up my buddy Megaran, dude, he hangs out with wrestlers all the time now. He's always hanging out with Austin Creed, Xavier Woods. It's like the anniversary of when he was feuding with one of the Dudleys on I think it was Ring of Honor. It's crazy, man. He was do you remember the rap battle between the New Day and the Usos?
Yeah,
He wrote that.
you told me, and he was there in the ring for it.
Oh yeah, because we've ridden in the car like a million times together, and that's my one story. Yeah. How about driving to a wrestling show? What do you like to listen to when you're doing that?
I'll go. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I know he's your arch enemy, but I listen to Corny a lot. Jim Cornette.
It's not my arch enemy.
um,
I think some of his takes are bad, but he's not my arch enemy.
I don't agree with everything he says, and I know he would not like me as a wrestler because I'm.
Oh, I don't think he'd like any of us.
But I do respect his opinion, and I do love listening to his old wrestling stories and his like crazy rants. he'll say the wildest things. But I will also put on music. I either honestly have two tastes, and it's like either 90s hip hop or just hardcore rock metal music. Every once in a while, I'll branch off and listen to.
What are you
that?
What are you talking about? When we rode in your car, we listened to the Toadies all the way.
Yeah, I like the Toadies. That's a good album. Well,
It is a good album.
It's a hard rock album.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like Mariah Carey.
You know, listen.
I will cry to the. I will cry to Mariah Carey. I'm crying just to think of that song. Okay.
I thought you were gonna say "All I Want for Christmas."
No. It is that time of
That
year.
song makes me cry.
We Belong Together makes me cry. I have a big spot for like anything 90s because that's what my parents. My parents had me when they were really young, so that's what they were into. That was their what generation. So
Right.
I grew up listening to a lot of that stuff. My sister is named after a Sarah McLachlan song. So
What is it?
her name's Adia.
What now?
Adia, Adia.
Okay.
Adia, we are still.
You don't like listen to rap music?
I love rap music.
Because
Yeah.
I listen to too much rap music.
I love
in the car when I'm traveling and roots reggae music, so Jamaican music.
What kind of rap do you like? Like I
like hardcore, like some people like sometimes listening to Rick Ross and Snoop Dogg. And,
yeah. I love Wu-Tang Clan.
Wu-Tang Clan, all this guy, all the bastard, all the music. So I like to listen to this guy when I'm driving. Nate Dogg. He rest in peace, my man.
Yeah.
Nate Dogg and DMX too.
You heard Gangstar?
Oh yeah,
Gangstar is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love Guru. His lyrics
They
are.
got good music.
It's still so crazy that DMX is dead. Like, I forget every time I hear about it again. I'm like,
I want to tell you something. When I heard that news about DMX, man, I was so down because it wasn't a little bit when I was preparing myself to be in US, you know what I'm saying? So, and DMX for sure was my favorite musician in US. For sure. So I remember when I was starting doing hip hop, so I got DMX CD in my home like this and all the stuff of DMX I got in my home. So when I say, okay, right now I'm going to US, maybe I'm going to make DMX in the hood someday, I don't know. And finally, I was just like, guy say, oh, rest in peace, DMX. I said, damn, what happened? DMX then?
Still made it here though, and you don't know who else you might meet.
God.
man, but I think the great thing about music is that, like, even if somebody dies, their music lives on for like forever.
Yeah, for sure. Because we say you die, but your music never died. Your music never died. It's like we can say you speak and your voice is going away, but when you write something on paper, it will stay forever. Like people say, when you write your name on the rock, your name will stay forever. That's how we better work hard to write your name on the rock, because you write your name on the sign, maybe the way become wash it up. But when you write it on the rock, it's forever. Nobody can write it up. Yeah.
Kind of random, but I saw something on a magazine at a store, and it was Tupac, and it was 25 years, and it's crazy to think 25 years.
25.
He's been dead, but he's still relevant. You say Tupac, everyone knows who he is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone knows his music. I love his music. And it's so depth. Like, I think modern hip hop is missing something, and I think he had it. I think it's, respecting the old school, which is what the modern rappers don't do. He touched so many bases. He can be hardcore, but he also wrote songs about his mom. He also wrote songs about women. Why do we treat women this way?
Writing any kind of song.
Everything.
It wasn't only.
It was violence, but it wasn't always violence. And I was listening to a Snoop Dogg interview, and take this with a grain of salt, but he believed that what you say comes true, and he said, listen to their albums. There's nothing but violence on. Well, not nothing. I just said he had diversity, but there was a lot of violence on Tupac's and Biggie's albums, and what happened to both of them. And Snoop Dogg said that he wrote there's a song on his first album called "Murder Was the Case That They Gave Me." He said he wrote that song, and 6 months later he was in a murder case, and it's very famous that he was found not guilty in the murder case. Which probably a lot of kids don't know that, which is funny. But yeah. But even though they're gone, the music still has that big impact.
Yep. Like
Pantera coming back. This is wild because I'm sorry. Okay, we can scratch that out.
No. What about Pantera? What about Pantera?
Because there's a controversy. There's many controversies now because Phil Anselmo, and unfortunately, he has made some comments that can be taken in a racist way, and he pleads that. What
other ways can they be taken?
But that's why it's hard to defend, and I'm not defending him, but that's why I said that's just one of the many controversies. But the one I was touching on mainly was the fact that their guitar player, Dimebag Darrell, was shot on stage and killed in 2004, right? Not to mention that 3 years. This is how much of a big music metal nerd I am, just learning so much about these bands. But Pantera broke up like 3 or 4 years before his death, and him and his brother just decided to start their own band. So a lot of fans just assumed that Pantera was dead because his brother Dimebag died. His brother Vinny was the drummer. Vinny, for some reason, had this weird beef with Phil Anselmo, and that's kind of why they weren't together in the first place. And Dimebag's death just kind of sealed it shut. But Vinnie Paul died maybe 5 years ago or so. So now there's only 2 original members of Pantera together, and the 2 members that had beef are dead. So they're just taking the name and touring with it now. So there's a lot of beef with that among the fan base. It's kind of divided of if you are or not okay with them just using the name.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple of years, probably a decade ago now. I forget, it was I think it was they said No Doubt was touring again, and it was really just their trombone player. And
not even Gwen Stefani.
No, not definitely not Gwen Stefani. No, it was just their trombone player and a bunch of randos.
You know what's interesting, and I think this probably only really happens in the metal community, but so there's a band that I like called Sepultura. They're from Brazil. And in the mid-90s, their singer had some sort of beef with their guitar player. It was something like the singer was he was in the U.S. and everyone else was in Brazil, and someone close to them passed away, and they rushed and did the funeral before he could get home or something like that. Whatever the beef was, he left and then started his own band, and then maybe 10 years later, and maybe more close to the 2010s. It's funny, it's another brother, but the singer Max and the drummer Igor, the drummer stayed with Sepultura for a long time, and then he finally left and joined his brother. So now you have the band Sepultura that's really just the guitar player, but they have the rights to the name. And then you have the original founding members of Sepultura.
It's a big band.
Playing. Well, no, they're separate. It's 2 different bands that play the same songs because they have beef. So you have the one member who has the rights to the name and he has his own band, and then you have the founding members that have to use a different name, but they just play old Sepultura songs. So you have 2 bands that are kind of
On the stage, yeah.
right.
Man, that kind of reminds me of. It's always weird when bands suddenly can't use their name.
Right.
Real Big Fish is a ska band I really like.
Yeah.
The one ska band that anybody knows.
They did the cover of "Take on Me." That's the only song.
Yes,
and "Sold Out." That's the only
yep.
2 songs I know.
It's called Sell Out.
So, hey, do you know about ska? It's kind of reggae influenced.
Ska?
Ska?
Ska, yeah.
It's
It's reggae, but for white people.
Yeah, I know ska. Yeah. I've got one.
well, I think there's traditional ska, which is different than what we're thinking of, and the more Americanized ska is like punk rock, but it has horns and it has kind of a reggae beat sometimes.
Yeah, pretty much.
The ska is a little bit different with the other reggae ska. You don't have too much instruments playing inside. That's the only difference that we got. Like in reggae roots, you got many instruments playing. So so ska is a little bit different, but all it's reggae.
Right. Huh. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge ska fan, actually. But what I was saying was Real Big Fish. They put out an album called, but it's not a Real Big Fish album. It's a Forces of Evil album. And like I didn't know that for years. I was like, man, this band Forces of Evil sounds a lot like Real Big Fish. I was like, oh, Aaron Barrett's in it. Okay, cool. Oh, it's the same band. It's the same exact band.
Sorry to cut you off. You know what's funny is
the story was over. It's okay.
I did not know that Audioslave until I was in high school. I knew I loved Audioslave, but I did not know that Audioslave is pretty much just Rage Against the Machine, but with Chris Cornell from Soundgarden instead of Zach De La Rocha. So it's literally the same drummer, guitar player, bass player from Rage, and it's just a singer from Soundgarden.
That's wild.
I guess you didn't know that.
Man, I didn't.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So it's cool. That's one thing I really like nerded out about music is finding the different collabs. Like Dave Grohl played drums for a lot of people, but he played for Ghost.
He was in Nirvana, wasn't he?
He definitely was. He also played for Queens of the Stone Age. He was actually about to like just play drums for Queens of the Stone Age, and then I think Foo Fighters took off. Yeah, and one thing that really drew me into hip hop was the features and all like, oh, this rapper and this guy. And then it was also, I don't know if people still do samples, but in 90s hip hop, everyone did it. And that's one thing I really loved, that they would take samples and bits from other people's songs, put them in their song. Like there's a Biggie song that had the hook from a Ghetto Boy song, and I was like, why does this sound so familiar? Like, oh yeah, it's because it's set up his song. And so that's what really kind of made me appreciate music more. I just keep talking.
I know. I'm trying to think of a way to bring it around in the podcast.
What kind of music do you not like? What kind of music you're just like, turn this off? Is there anything you don't like that much?
No, I don't think so.
What about you?
Trying to think of like just any genre that I just absolutely hate.
If I think it's just repetition. If I hear a song over and over again all the time, I'll get annoyed with it. I don't really like it's like this weird genre of rap that's like really like metal influence, and it's like them like doing death metal vocals over like a rap beat.
Oh, like Broken Side.
Yeah, I don't really. Dude,
I hate that.
You know what's hilarious is Broken Side was the first one to do that as a joke like 10 years ago.
It was a joke?
I took it as a joke, and and now Ghostmane, what's that other group called? Suicide Squad. It's just like that, but like serious. It's like super dark, and I'm not a fan.
Hyperpop. I don't like hyperpop. That's like 100 gecs and stuff. I don't know. The kids are into it. You know, it's where they all pitch themselves up so they sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Oh, yeah. I don't like
It's
that.
the only-
Yo, I would get super into weird mashups on. We kind of made our own, but there's one that's like it's Tool, but they like took out the vocals and put in that Taylor Swift song, the "We're Never Getting Back Together," and it's like heavy Tool, like a heavy metal band song, and then they put like a pop song, and it vocals over it. It works so well.
No, there's a lot of good
It's so-
mashups. There's a lot of good
yeah.
mashups.
They're so good.
And honestly, the only music I don't listen to much sometimes is classic music.
Classical?
Like, yeah. Oh, damn.
You don't like it?
Like,
None of it. You don't like Beethoven's Fifth, or
just some of this.
I tried to like really get into it and claim that I liked it, but I don't listen to it anymore. I can appreciate it. I can appreciate that that's what they had back then, and it's still beautiful today, but I'm not going to listen to it every day.
I mean, it's not something I go looking for, but like if
Like jazz, like I love some cool jazz music, but I'm not gonna
And
like.
you see, for example, what they make featuring, like example, jazz and classic music, you have another kind of music, like how do we call James Brown and they make a song like it, "Man's World," something like that. This is a man's world,
Yeah,
but it would be nothing. When they mix that kind of song, it gives you another one. It's just very nice to listen. That's why. But only classic music is very hard for me to listen to.
I don't know. I can't think of
You-
what.
So I had a friend in high school that was, I mean, he's still my friend today. Shout out to Shane. He's kind of a reason why I'm here, and because we would just nerd out about wrestling all the time. But anyway, he would show me this weird. He's really off the grid with his music taste. He listened to Noise, and he was the first one to show me Death Grips. Like
I love Death Grips,
way back before they blew up, and
Yo!
I did not like it the first time I heard it because it's experimental rap. It's like he's screaming all these words and it's all this wild music. And at first I was like, bro, I don't like this. But then I started to catch on with it.
The thing about Death Grips is you have to find a Death Grips song you like, and then work back from that, and then like go back and listen to some stuff. Like,
But there's even wilder stuff that he would show me that almost you could argue has no musical like input. And I've been to shows, I've played on shows to where like people just they don't you can maybe argue whether it's a song or not. They just make noise and scream and just try to make what's the word I'm trying to, an atmosphere, I guess, or
a spectacle.
A
It's
spectacle.
trying to satisfy you.
Yeah. And sometimes it's cool and sometimes you're just like, okay, bro.
How come you know that you only just make noise because you just want to satisfy you? They don't like the
Right,
what
but
you
there's-
do, but they only make noise.
But sometimes it's cool to where like it still kind of makes sense. They still kind of keep the beat and you're like, okay, you're going really far into left field and then you bring it back. Like I get that instead of just doing it.
right, like Death Grips is noise and experimental, but it's like it's a song.
Or even like Led Zeppelin, like they had that famous Dazed Confused where they would jam band and just like start goofing off and just making noise, and then they'd come back to the song. You know, no one's okay.
Nah, I've never heard of that.
Well, they play the song and it's like 30 minutes on the live album because it's actually like 7 minutes. So they play the first 3 minutes and then they just jam off and they just play, improvise, go, gets really wild, but then they come back into the beat and then they come back into the song.
This is a little bit to try to communicate with the crowd, because when you're having a show like that, a live show, you're not only on the stage, you're playing with the crowd too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to make the crowds wake up. They got to make a real noise. As we're talking right now, that sometimes crowds make it, not just to satisfy you, but you too, you got to satisfy them. And you got to make them join you into the show. So I've been doing many, many shows live. So sometimes when I'm on the stage, I say nobody sleep. When I get on the stage, sometimes I'm in the backstage. There's another one singing before me. I see the crowd just like that. I say, when I will be on the stage, all those people got to stand up. And when I get on the stage, they all stand up. Because you communicate with them, you try to make them wake up, they got to follow you. It's a little bit how we do wrestling, you know what I mean? So you got to satisfy people who's coming watching you.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
still crowd control. Are you familiar with South by Southwest? So it's a big festival we have in Austin. It's spring break, so it's in March. And it's a week-long festival, and they have music shows everywhere. It's not just music. They have music festival and games and even, I think, some political. Check it out this year. Yeah, man. Yeah. But I would go, I'm spoiled here because I grew up with it. So one year, the way you just described with the fans, and it's different because I come from hardcore music. So I went to a showcase and just to see one band, and my friends were telling me to check out this other band. So, but they were like fourth or fifth to go on. So we're standing around watching the other bands. Everyone, like you said, is just standing there, just whatever, they're just there. And then Power Trip went on, and it went from that until almost like a wrestling match, a war zone. People were like diving, they were like back up, started throwing their fists, like it was on as soon, and I was so wild. It was really cool to see that change just so quick.
The big transition is to communicate with the crowd. That is a big transition because it's different. Live show is different with what you do in the studio.
Yeah.
What you do in the studio is another way. On the stage live is another way. So you don't have to get on the stage and do the right thing that you did in the studio. No, it doesn't work like that. You better do another improvisation right there when you get to the stage. Sometime you got to listen to the band playing. They got to make some, jam, something like that. And sometimes you communicate with the people just to try to bring them over you. So you make the show together.
I think it's more special that way too, that you don't just give it to them on the record. You add that to it. Sometimes they might play the song differently or play it longer or interlude it into another song.
Yeah.
Our bands don't do this anymore, but back in the day, a band would play a bunch of cover songs. They would start their song, and then without stop playing, they would just transition and, okay, now we're doing this song. And they would mash like 4 or 5 songs together. I think it was called a melody, or I forget what it was called.
A medley?
Medley, thank you.
You're a musician, you don't know medley?
I don't know the proper music terms. No, I just know how to rock. But but yeah, you don't see that anymore. It's a good tool to bring the crowd in.
So I think at the end of the day, like, music and pro wrestling are about, cultivating an experience and handing that over to the audience. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Right? Am I off the basic?
No, you're not wrong. It's conveying atmosphere to the crowd in wrestling and both genres, I'll say, in both wrestling and music. There's so many different ways to do it. In wrestling, you can have that wild, chaotic, bloody brawl, or that scientific match, or that high-flying match. In music, you could have that reggae show. You could have that hardcore punk show. You could have that hip-hop show. There's so many different flavors to everything, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. Well, guys, the fuse is getting short, and it's time for ABP. Always be plugging. Michael, what you got?
_official arrow at AAPW, and I will be at Slam Portal this Saturday at, I forgot what that brewery's called. I'm sorry. Slam Portal this Saturday.
How about you, Wolf? What you got? I know you're all over social media. You're killing it on social media.
Yeah, for sure. I got many things to do with that.
Central Machine Works Brewery this Saturday.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for being here on the Buckle Bomb. This has been the Buckle Bomb, and you have been blown up.